Weeks passed. Solari and Luke lived quietly near the sea. Their small house was filled with laughter, warmth, and peace. Every day brought something new. Solari learned how to cook simple meals. She grew flowers in the garden. Luke taught her how to paint, and she showed him how to read the stars. One evening, they sat on the porch, watching the sunset. The sky turned gold and orange. The sound of waves was soft and steady. "I never thought I would see this," Solari said. "A world so full of life." Luke smiled. "And I never thought I'd meet someone like you." They sat in silence for a while, just enjoying the moment. But peace didn't mean the past was gone. One morning, a ship landed near their home. It was not from the base. It carried scientists and leaders from the Earth Council. They wanted to speak with Solari. She met them calmly. Luke stood beside her. A woman in a gray suit spoke. "We are grateful for what you've done, but some fear your powers. They wonder if you are a threat." Solari looked at her with steady eyes. "I understand. Fear is part of life. But I have chosen peace. I live here now, not as a weapon, but as a person. Can you promise never to change again?" Another asked. Solari was quiet. "I can promise this. I will never harm the innocent. I will protect what matters. If that means changing again to save others, then yes, I would." Some nodded, others looked unsure, but Luke stepped forward. "You fear her because she is strong, but strength isn't danger. Solari has saved lives. She gave up her past to live. In peace, she deserves trust." The council left without making a decision. But they did not take her. That was enough for now. Later that night, Solari sat on the beach. Luke sat beside her. "Do you regret coming here?" he asked. "No," she said. "But I wonder if this world will ever truly accept me." "It will," Luke said, "because you're showing them who you are, not with words, but with how you live." She smiled. "Then I will keep living and keep showing them." Time moved on. Solari became known in the nearby town. People were shy at first, but her kindness was clear. She helped at the school, taught the children how to grow food, and told them stories of stars and lost cities. The children loved her. They brought her small gifts like seashells and painted rocks. One little girl asked, "Are you a queen?" Solari laughed softly. "No, just someone who wants to help." She still trained in private, keeping her strength in balance. Luke helped, watching her, reminding her that control came from the heart. They built a new part of the garden together, one filled with flowers from both her world and his. It became a place where people came to sit, to think, and to feel peace. Then one day a small ship arrived. It came from the stars, but not from Earth. It was damaged, and inside was a young alien girl, frightened and hurt. Solari and Luke took her in. Solari held her hand and spoke in a language Luke didn't know. The girl calmed. She smiled. "She is from a lost tribe," Solari explained. "She was running from the same machines that once hunted me." Luke nodded. "Then she needs a home." "Just like you did." They gave her a room, cared for her, and slowly she began to heal. More people came to help. The town grew closer to them. Solari was no longer just an alien. She was a neighbor, a friend, a protector. One night, as the stars filled the sky, Solari stood outside the house. Luke joined her. "You once told me," she said, "that if I showed my final form, I might lose myself. But I think I found myself instead." Luke smiled. "You found more than that. You found a new beginning." She turned to him. "Thank you, Luke, for seeing me, for staying. Always," he said. "From the first moment, I knew you were more than what you feared." They held hands as the sea whispered around them, and far above, among the stars, the past watched quietly. But it no longer held power, because on Earth, under the light of the moon, Solari and Luke had built something stronger than fear. They had built a life together. Life on the human base was different. The people were kind, but everything was fast and loud. Solari took her time getting used to it. She walked the halls quietly, watched the screens that blinked and beeped, and listened to the voices around her. Everyone had somewhere to go. Everyone had something to do. Luke stayed with her. He showed her the training rooms, the food stations, and even the small garden inside the dome. She liked the garden. It reminded her of her city, the one she had protected for so long. One day, Luke brought her a small tablet. On it were pictures and videos of Earth. He showed her beaches, forests, mountains, and cities. Solari watched with wonder. "Is all this real?" she asked. "Very real," Luke said. "And you'll see it soon." "It looks like a dream," she whispered. They sat in the garden and watched the stars through the dome. Solari often asked questions about human life. She wanted to understand. Luke answered every question with patience and warmth. "Why do humans keep pets?" "Because we need love," Luke said. "And we give it back." She smiled at that. "I think I would." "Like a small one. Maybe one with wings." Time passed, and slowly, Solari began to change. She wore soft human clothes now, simple and light. Her armor was kept safe in a box. She didn't need it anymore. She laughed more, spoke more, and even started helping in the garden. But not everyone was happy. Some on the base still watched her with fear. A few officers spoke in quiet voices, saying she was dangerous. One day, a meeting was held. The base leader, Captain Roland, called Luke and Celery to his office. "There are concerns," he said. "Some fear your presence, Solari?" She stood tall. "I understand." "They ask what you will do now, what path you choose." Solari looked at Luke, then back at the captain. "I will go to Earth. I want to live in peace. I want to learn, and I want to help." Captain Roland nodded. "Then you will need a guide. Luke, are you still willing to take that role?" "Yes," Luke said without hesitation. "She's already my friend. I'll stand by her." It was decided. They would leave for Earth in a week. That night, Solari sat alone in the garden. Luke joined her. "Are you all right?" he asked. "I'm afraid again," she said. "Earth is beautiful. But what if I don't belong?" "You do," Luke said. "Not because you fit in, but because you care. That's what matters." She reached out and took his hand. "Then promise me something. Anything. If I lose control. If I become something else again. Don't leave me." Luke looked into her eyes. "Never. I'll remind you who you are. Always." The day of departure came. The ship was ready. People gathered to say goodbye. Some smiled. Some stayed silent. Luke and Solari stood at the ramp. She looked back one last time. "Goodbye," she whispered to the stars. As the ship rose into space, Solari felt her heart beat faster. Earth was still far, but it felt close now. They reached orbit after 2 days. Through the window, Solari saw Earth for the first time. Blue, green, and white swirled together like a painting. She pressed her hand to the glass. "It's more than I imagined." "Welcome home," Luke said softly. They landed near a coastal city. The sun was rising. The air smelled of salt and life. Birds flew overhead. Solari stepped onto Earth's soil. She took a deep breath and closed her eyes. "It's warm," she said, "and alive." They were taken to a peaceful area outside the city. A small house waited near the sea. It was simple, just like Luke described. Inside, Solari walked from room to room, touching the walls, the furniture, the soft curtains. "This is ours." "Yes," Luke said. "A fresh start." She turned and hugged him. "Thank you for everything." Luke held her close. "We made it. Now let's live." As night came, they sat on the beach. The stars above were the same ones they had seen before, but now they shone over a new life. Solari looked up. "I'm not afraid anymore." "You never needed to be," Luke said. "You were always more than your final form. You were always you." And in that quiet, simple moment, surrounded by waves and stars, two hearts beat in peace. A new chapter had begun. The days that followed were quiet, but not empty. Luke and Solari walked through the ruins, not as strangers anymore, but as companions. Solari seemed lighter now. She spoke more, smiled more. Luke noticed a change, and it made him happy. They spent time restoring more of the garden. Solari used her knowledge of the soil and light to bring life back to the plants. Luke carried stones, cleaned walkways, and fixed broken walls. The city began to glow again. Little by little dot at night, they sat near the tower and talked. Luke asked about her childhood. Solari told him of her mother's singing and how she once dreamed of flying not for war, but to see the stars. Luke listened carefully. He shared his own dreams too. He had always wanted to build a house by the sea. Maybe one day, he said. You'll see Earth. We can walk on the beach and watch the sun set over the ocean. Solari looked at him. Is it really that beautiful? Yes, he said. But I think even Earth would be more beautiful with you there. She didn't reply, but her hand found his again. A few days later, a new sound came from the beacon. Luke rushed to check. The signal was clear now. A rescue ship was coming. It would land in 2 days. He told Solari. She stood silent for a moment. Then this part of our journey ends, she said. It can be the start of a new one, Luke said. But he could see doubt in her eyes. What if I don't belong there? What if I lose control again? You won't be alone, Luke replied. I'll be with you. You've already proven that you can choose peace. She nodded, but her heart was unsure. That night, a cold wind passed through the ruins. Solari stood on the tower and watched the stars. Luke joined her. I feel like I'm standing between two worlds, she said. You are, he said, but you're not trapped anymore. You're free to choose. The day at the landing came. The sky opened as a sleek rescue ship entered the atmosphere. It circled the city, then slowed down and hovered near the crash site. Luke packed his things. He looked back at the place that had become strange but special. Solari stood beside him, dressed in her silver armor, but without the glow. She looked more like herself. Are you ready? Luke asked. I'm afraid, she said softly. So am I, but that's okay. They walked together toward the ship. The hatch opened, and a group of humans stepped out, shocked to see Solari. Is that an alien? One of them asked. Luke nodded. She's not just an alien. She's my friend, and she saved my life. The rescue team welcomed them both. Some looked confused, but they didn't argue. Luke helped Solari step inside Dot as the ship lifted off. Solari looked down at the city. Will it be safe now? It will, Luke said. You gave it peace. Now let's find your peace, too. The journey back took days. Solari spent most of the time looking out the window. She watched stars pass by. Everything was new to her, but Luke stayed close. He gave her a small book about Earth. She read it slowly. One night, she pointed to a picture. This is a dog? It looks funny. They are funny, Luke laughed. But loyal. Like you? Solari smiled. It was a small thing, but it meant a lot. When they reached the human base, doctors checked them. They asked Solari many questions. She answered what she could. Some wanted to keep her for study, but Luke stood firm. She's not a specimen. She's a person. She came here by choice. Treat her with respect. The base commander agreed. Solari was given her own room and clothes. She walked through the halls slowly, unsure of everything. But every time Luke was near, she smiled. Later, they sat by the window. Earth glowed in the distance. It's beautiful, Solari whispered. It's waiting, Luke said, for both of us. Solari turned to him. Do you really believe there's a place for someone like me? I don't believe it, he said. I know it, because I'll make one with you. She leaned her head on his shoulder. In that quiet moment, among stars and hopes, two souls from different worlds looked toward the same future. Solari rested in the soft grass while Luke stayed close, watching over her. Her breathing was slow, and her body still glowed a little. The machine was gone now, broken and silent, but the memory of the battle still hung in the air. Luke placed his jacket over her and looked up at the sky. The stars had returned, calm again. He felt tired but relieved. She had saved him, saved the ruins, and saved herself in some way too. Solari opened her eyes as the sun began to rise. "You didn't. Run," she said softly. "I told you I wouldn't," Luke replied. "I meant it." She sat up slowly. Her body was weak, but she smiled. "Then I owe you more than my life." Luke helped her to her feet. "Let's get you back." They returned to the tower chamber. Luke helped Solari sit near the glowing pillar. The machines responded to her presence. Lights moved slowly across the walls, scanning her body. "It's healing you," Luke said. "A little," she answered, "but it cannot fix everything." Luke sat beside her. "You're not alone now. You don't have to carry this burden anymore." Solari looked at him, her golden eyes soft. "You are strange, human." "I get that a lot," he said with a small grin. Days passed. The city stayed quiet, but it didn't feel so empty anymore. Luke and Solari repaired parts of the structure together. She showed him more of the city's secrets. There were gardens hidden under the ruins, filled with glowing flowers. Luke helped her replant them. He told her stories of Earth again, about the blue oceans, animals that ran wild, and how humans sometimes made mistakes, but they always tried to do better. Solari liked those stories. She said they reminded her that even pain could have meaning. One night, they sat beside the edge of the garden. The stars were bright, and a soft wind moved through the leaves. "Why did you stay?" she asked. Luke looked at the sky. "I don't know. Maybe because you reminded me of something I lost. Maybe because you needed someone. Or maybe ... because I needed someone too." Solari reached for his hand. Her fingers were warm now, no longer cold like before. "I was afraid you would see me and be afraid," she said. "I was," he admitted. "But I saw more than just your power. I saw your heart." She looked down. "Do you think I'm still dangerous?" Luke thought for a moment. "Maybe, but I also think you're brave and kind, and you saved me. That matters more than anything else." Solari smiled. It was a real smile, one that lit up her whole face. Later, they walked through the city again. Solari showed him a small temple near the far edge. Inside, there was a pool of clear water and a crystal mirror that reflected more than just faces. It showed memories. She placed her hand on it. The image changed. It showed her as a child, laughing with others, her family, her people. Then it showed the war, the fall, and finally, her alone in the ruins. Luke watched quietly. When it ended, Solari sat beside the pool. "I used to come here and cry," she said. "I thought I had failed everyone." "You didn't fail," Luke told her. "You kept your promise, and now you can start again." Solari looked at the reflection. "Start again. I never thought that was possible." "Everything has a beginning," Luke said. Even after the end. Back at the camp, Luke worked on the signal again. With the help of Solari's knowledge, he boosted it higher than before. One night, he heard a soft beep. The signal had reached someone. He called Solari. "They heard us. Someone's coming." Her eyes widened. "You will be rescued." "We will," he said. "You're coming with me." She shook her head. "I can't. My duty is here." "Not anymore," Luke said. "You've done enough. You deserve a new life." She didn't answer right away. She looked at the stars. A new life. "I don't know what that means." "It means you get to choose. For the first time." Solari turned to him, unsure but hopeful. She nodded slowly. "Then maybe ... yes, I will come." The wind moved through the city once more, but this time it felt different. It felt like a future was waiting. The morning came slowly. The sky over Varellum Prime turned soft pink, and the winds moved gently through the glowing trees. Luke woke up early, hearing the faint hum of something in the distance. He sat up and listened. Solari stood at the edge of the ruins. Her eyes were fixed on the sky. "Something's wrong," she said. Luke moved beside her. "What do you hear?" She pointed upward. "The machine that watches. It's awake. It found your signal." Luke felt his chest tighten. "You mean my beacon?" "Yes," she said quietly. "Something ancient still flies above this world. It was built by the enemy. I thought it was dead, but it heard you." Luke looked at her, then at the distant stars. "How long before it gets here?" Solari didn't answer. Instead, she turned and walked toward the center of the ruins. Luke followed. They reached an old tower, half covered in vines. Solari placed her hand on a glowing panel. A door opened. Inside, the walls lit up with strange patterns and lights. Luke had never seen technology like this. "What is this place?" he asked. "A core chamber," she said. "It connects the city to its heart." Luke didn't understand, but he followed her deeper. They entered a large room filled with floating crystals and strange machines. At the center, a tall pillar pulsed with blue light. "This is the city's memory," Solari said. "It holds our knowledge and power. The machine in the sky was built to find and destroy this place. If it lands, it will bring fire." Luke looked around. Everything was quiet, but the air felt heavy. "Can't we hide?" he asked. "It will find us," she said. "Unless I change." Luke stepped forward. "What happens if you do?" Solari looked down. "I become something else. My body grows stronger, faster, more deadly, but my mind fades. I may not remember who I am. I may attack anything, even you." Luke looked at her face. He saw fear not of death, but of losing herself. "Then don't do it alone," he said. "We'll face it together. You would stand beside me even then. Yes, because I see you. I know you. And I believe in you." Solari closed her eyes. "You are strange, Luke Carter. No one ever spoke to me like this." They left the tower and returned to the surface. The sky was darker now. A shape moved above the clouds. It was a black ship, long and sharp, with red lights that blinked like eyes. It moved slowly but with purpose. Solari stood straight, her armor glowing brighter. Luke grabbed his tools. He had no weapons, but he would help however he could. That night, the machine landed outside the city. The ground shook. Trees fell. The air grew hot. Luke and Solari stood on the high wall, looking down. The machine was taller than a building. Its body was covered in armor. Its legs sharp like blades. It spoke in a deep metal voice. "Varellum core detected. Threat must be erased." Solari stepped forward. "I am the guardian. You will not pass." The machine raised its weapon. Light gathered at its center. Solari turned to Luke. "Stay back." "No," he said. "We fight this together." She smiled. A soft, sad smile. Then her body began to change. Her silver armor melted into light. Her hair floated high. Her eyes turned white. Wings of energy formed behind her. Her voice changed, form change, activated. The light from her body pushed Luke back. He shielded his eyes. Then she moved. Solari flew toward the machine. Her speed was blinding. She struck it in the chest, sending it crashing into the forest. The earth cracked. Fire burned the sky. Luke watched from the tower. He couldn't believe what he saw. She was like a star, wild and bright. The machine rose again. It fired beams of red light. Solari dodged, then fired her own blast. The two forces clashed again and again. The battle lasted for hours. Luke waited, watching, praying, then silence. Smoke covered the ruins. The sky was gray. Luke ran toward the battlefield. He found Solari lying on the ground. Her wings were gone. Her armor cracked. She looked human again. He dropped beside her. "Solari, are you okay?" She opened her eyes. "You stayed." Of course I did, Luke said. I told you I would. She smiled, then closed her eyes. He held her hand. You're not a weapon. You're more than that. And even in silence, he knew she heard him. Luke did not sleep much that night. He kept thinking about Silari. Her voice stayed in his head. She had warned him to leave, but she came back. That meant something. He fixed a small camp. The wind was stronger now, and he needed to protect. The signal device. His hands worked while his mind wandered. He wondered what Silari really was. She didn't look like a soldier, but she had strength in her steps and sadness in her eyes. The next day, Luke climbed the tower again. The sky looked calm, but he knew the storms came fast. He checked the signal. Still weak. Still no answer dot, as. He sat there. He saw Silari again. She stood in the street below watching him. Luke climbed down slowly. You came back, he said. I never left, she replied. He smiled a little. That's comforting. She walked with him as he returned to the camp. This time, she didn't speak much. But she stayed. Later, Luke offered her water. She didn't drink it, but she touched the bottle curious. Then she sat across from him, and for a long time, they just sat in silence. Finally, Luke spoke. Were there others like you? Silari looked up at the stars. There were, long ago. This city was full of life. Children played in the gardens. Music filled the halls. Then war came. Luke listened closely. He didn't ask questions. He let her continue. The enemy was strong. We were not ready. My people made a choice. They gave their lives to create the Guardians. We were not born. We were made. Luke frowned. You mean you were created to fight? Yes. Our forms were changed. Our minds shaped. I was the youngest. They said I had the strongest heart, but it hurt more than they knew. Luke leaned forward. You've been alone since then? She nodded. No one remained. I kept the promise. I stayed. I watched. Luke looked around the city. It was beautiful, but empty. No footsteps, no laughter, just echoes of what once was. Why did you help me? He asked. Silari looked at him. You did not come to take. You came to survive. There is no hunger in your eyes, only hope. Luke didn't know what to say. He felt a strange warmth in his chest. He didn't feel alone anymore. Days passed. Silari came every day now. They talked more. She told him about her world's history, its moons, and how the stars once danced during the time of bloom. Luke shared stories from Earth. He spoke of the oceans, cities, and how dogs chased their tails. Silari laughed. It was soft and light. Luke smiled. It was the first time he heard her laugh. He taught her how to use some human tools. She showed him how to read a few ancient symbols. They learned together, side by side. But not all moments were light. One night, Silari stood at the edge of the city, looking toward the mountains. Luke walked up to her. What is it? The sky feels different, she said. Something stirs. A shadow I thought was gone. Luke didn't understand. Is it danger? Maybe, she whispered. If it comes, I may have to change. He turned to her. Change? Into what? She didn't answer right away. Her golden eyes dimmed. My final form. It was built for destruction. When I use it, I lose myself. I become something else. A weapon. Luke stepped closer. But you're not a weapon. That is what I was made to be. You have not seen it. You do not know. Luke reached out and gently touched her shoulder. Then show me who you are now. That's the only part one care about. Silari closed her eyes. You are not afraid? I should be, Luke said, smiling a little. But I'm not. She turned to him and whispered, Then you are either brave or foolish. Maybe both. That night, the stars moved slowly. Luke slept under the ruined roof of an old hall. Silari sat near the door, keeping watch in the dark. Something above the planet blinked. A silent machine drifting through space, open. A cold red eye. It had found a signal. Trouble was coming, and Solari felt it. The stars above looked calm, but space was never calm. Luke Carter had been through many missions in his life as a pilot, but nothing like this. His ship, the Dawnlight, had been hit by a strange ion storm just outside the Varellan system. One moment, he was checking the course. The next, alarms were screaming, and the sky turned blue with lightning. When he woke up, everything was quiet. The ship was broken in half. Smoke rose into the thick air of a strange world. Luke's suit was torn, his side burned, and one of his legs hurt with every step. But he was alive. He had no idea where the others were. Maybe they had died in the crash. Maybe they were thrown far from the wreck. He tried to call them, but the Cums were dead. He grabbed a small pack with water, a scanner, and his emergency beacon. He started walking. The planet was nothing like Earth. The sky was purple, with clouds that moved too slowly. Giant trees with glowing leaves stood tall over cracked stone. Paths, birds with long wings flew in silence. Everything looked old and untouched. Luke found what looked like a city, but it was empty. The buildings were made of smooth black stone, shaped in strange curves. Vines crawled up the walls, and pools of blue light shimmered on the ground. It was beautiful, but also cold and quiet. He walked deeper into the ruins. He found no signs of life, but he always felt like something was watching him. He told himself it was just nerves. He had to find shelter and maybe a way to boost his signal. Inside one of the buildings, he found a room with power. A panel on the wall glowed when he touched it. It lit up the chamber, showing old symbols carved into the walls. Luke didn't understand the language, but the pictures showed people with wings, holding spears, standing above strange beasts. As he was looking, he heard a sound, a soft step. He turned quickly. Someone was there. A figure stood in the doorway. She was tall and thin, covered in glowing silver armor. Her eyes were bright gold. Her face was hard to read, but she was not human. Her hair floated as if underwater. She didn't speak at first, just looked at him. Luke raised his hand slowly. "I don't want trouble," he said. She stepped closer, her voice clear but strange. "You should not be here." Luke nodded. "I didn't mean to land. My ship crashed. I just want to survive." She looked at him for a long time. Then she said, "This place is not for your kind." "I didn't know," he answered. "I'm sorry. What is this place?" "It is sacred," she said. "I am Solari. I protect it." Luke introduced himself and explained his situation. She listened but didn't. "Relax." She warned him again. "Turn back. No one may enter the heart of this city. If you see what is hidden here, you will not survive." Luke frowned. "Why not?" "Because I am the last guardian. If I must reveal what I truly am to protect this place, your life will end." He believed her. There was something in her eyes, something tired and dangerous. He wanted to leave, but he had nowhere else to go. "Can I stay near the edge of the city? Just until I fix my beacon?" Solari looked at him. Then she turned and walked away. That night, Luke stayed near the building. He built a small camp using wreckage he brought from the crash site. As he worked, he kept thinking about Solari. Who was she really? What had happened to her people? In the early morning, he found a piece of his ship's com system still working. It was not much, but maybe he could boost the signal. He climbed a tall building and set it up. He sent a weak call for help. Then he waited. Solari came again that afternoon. She stood behind him as he looked at the sky. "You should not expect an answer," she said. "The storms here bend signals." "I have to try," Luke replied. "I'm not ready to die on this world." She looked at him for a moment, then sat down beside him. It was quiet. The wind moved the glowing trees. "You are not like the others who came before," she said. "They came with weapons." "I came with hope," Luke answered. Say LAR, I said nothing. But she did not leave either. That was the beginning.